If you guys didn't watch our last video, we put the 392 up on a set of 40 by 13.5 17 tires with a brand new set of bead locks. All of the wheels that we run on the channel are actually KMC. So we run KMC wheels on my Jeep, KMC's on Ryan's, and that's actually owned by a larger company called Wheel Pros. Wheel Pros owns a lot of companies, including the one that makes the kit in front of me here, TerraFlex. So without further ado, we do have the TerraFlex Alpha HD spare tire in front of me, which says it's capable of holding up to a 40-inch tire. Kind of wanted to get this set up as quick as possible just because show season is right around the corner. This wheel and tire that I have is heavy, so I wanted to see if this would hold it. All right guys, we got the hard top off. I hope Ryan's recording.
Yes.
Those painted tops, Ryan and I must be getting weak. Dude, that's like 50 pounds, at least 50, 100 pounds heavier than my black top. It must be from the sound editing and the paint. All right, now that we got that off, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and get this trim panel off. So we have to get the trim panel for the Alpine off. I've already pulled the weather stripping off of the bottom edge here, pulled the 3 T40 torque spits off of there, and slid out this shelf. It's all very self-explanatory up until this point. And I also pulled out this detent here that holds onto your factory tailgate. This is gonna be replaced. TerraFlex includes a bigger one, but what we need to do is pop our seatbelt retainer off here. There's a T25 torque spit up there, and then this whole panel kind of just like pops off all in one piece. So we'll pop that off. And that just kind of stays there then, guys. So that'll just stay there. I'll probably go pick up my boy today in the Jeep with the top and doors off because he loves that, man. And here's a little funny story, Ryan. You know that I don't name my Jeeps ever, right?
Yes.
I never name them. But if you guys saw on our Instagram post, this Jeep has a name and it's Big Jeep. The only person that says that is my little guy, Walker. He goes, Big Jeep. And I gotta get a recording of him saying it because it's the funniest thing, but he's the only person that I'm gonna let name my Jeeps, and that's why it's named that. So the Extreme Recon is rated for a 35. So that Extreme Recon will hold a 35. You have 35s on your Jeep, and you're not gonna really need too much of a reinforcement. I'll give you this one off of mine just to reinforce your tailgate hinges a little bit. Once you start hitting 37s or 35s with bead locks, it's more the weight. And it's not just the weight, it's getting the tire to actually tuck into your tailgate. So I have a super wide offset here. That's what you want. You want it to get as tight as the door to the door as possible. It's better for your Jeep, better for your tailgate. That's why you get an adjustable one, because we can get this like touching our tailgate to really get it tucked in further. My gosh, I feel like I have ripped this Jeep apart particularly more than any that I have in the past. Like literally within, how many days have we owned this, Ryan? I feel like guilty. Honestly, it's like, what am I doing? What have I done? All right, so these pop out. Make sure they go back in. That one we lost. And we'll put that one. Oh, I put them in the wrong way. Put it in that way. Make sure all the rest are secure. We set this aside. You just have a little connector up there. It's a push pin just to get that removed. And then you have it like this. So just like on our last Jeep, what we have to remove in order to get to the inner hinges here, there's actually some, what you want to call this, like some thick body tape. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this off. There's one up here and then one down below. TerraFlex does include patches to go back over this. That's pretty neat. I don't like to really jam a knife into like unknown territory, but all this back there is just your hinges. So and then we'll try and get around the edge so I can maybe pull this off as one. I'm not the best with decals either. And actually I said this in the last video, you can keep this for a paint coat if you ever need it. If you want to go to your local paint store and get something custom match quick, or just use Distinction Applied. So we're going to disassemble our outer bracket a little bit here first. Save all of these because we might need some of it. There's little nuts and washers, and I'll try and find them all. I like to keep all my hardware, or even my like spare tires like this, just in case somebody wants it, because we do quite frankly give away a lot of our stuff too. But I like to keep it all in case I ever need to go back or maybe redo it or use one of those nuts or bolts. Okay guys, so we robbed our third brake light from up top, pulled that off, and then we also removed the screws, the torque screws that held our little tire carrier. There you go. The extended camera housing. If somebody needs one of these, let me know. Just this one, because it's meant for the Extreme Recon. Actually, you might be, no, you can't use it. We'll have to cut yours off. But guys buy these because they're super expensive from Mopar because it sticks your camera out about 3 inches further. Yeah. So if you have aftermarket wheels, just send me a...
So we're giving this away?
Yeah, hit it up at info@dirtroadcredmedia.com, just this piece, because we need this for a project we have for my dad's trailer. Same thing here, 13 mils to pull off the Extreme Recon, or just your tailgate spacer here. So we're gonna set all this aside because we might need it. Set these here too. We might need to use this. TerraFlex says with the steel bumpers, it gets a little tricky with how big of a tire size you can run, but we might be able to put this in just to pick our bracket up a little bit more. So I was kind of thinking we might have to use this here, but it's like, unless we would trim it down, it's not gonna work. So this is not gonna work. Hopefully it can hold 40s. If not, I don't know what we're gonna do right now.
Go to 37s, I guess.
Yeah, go to 37s, I guess. I have to do it. So we're also gonna pull off our extended bumpers here. Ryan, you might be able to use these on yours. They're a little bit longer on the Extreme Recon just to give more of a compression when you push the tire against, because this is what eliminates rattle, and anything moving on a spare tire like this is what's gonna create wear and tear. So these come off, and the goal is to get our 40 as tucked up as we can onto this tailgate. Yeah. Good catch, Rhino. So here's kind of the issue you run into when you pull these hinges off, guys. There's nothing underneath there. I know we talk about this a lot, and heck, look even over here. They didn't paint it. It's like unpainted there. They must, well, they painted with the hinges on, but you take the hinges off and look. That's, don't say it. You're gonna see that now probably with this new carrier. It's only 90-some thousand, don't worry about it. Just gonna give this a little bit of a clean, because you're not gonna really be able to get back here once you have the carrier on. So we're just gonna clean this up. So one nice thing that this kit does come with is these actual small little pieces here. They feel like a rubber material that are gonna cover up all the exposed panels. So this one's gonna go right like this. We'll line it up with the center, and then we're gonna stick that on. So why don't we do that right now? That's a nice little touch. I think that's kind of what needed from the factory. What do you think, Ryan? Not this thick, but doesn't that look so much better now? Like it's covered, it's protected. Now, it probably could still corrode underneath, but it's a lot better than bare metal on bare metal. We're also gonna put these small plugs here where we pulled the bumperettes out, so they even have a little logo put into them, but they're just gonna go into these slots here. Today's a nice day too, so I would say that these rubber components would be pretty tricky on a cold day, but they're going in nicely today. And we're gonna go right through there. Angle it a little bit. Top in a little bit more. Right there, right there. The T55 bolts that you're gonna use come with the kit, so you don't need to use reuse the old ones. I'm just gonna get these kind of started. And then we're just snugging these up, because these we will have to, I'm just gonna snug up the inner one and then both of the outside ones, just so the whole tailgate doesn't fall on us. I don't know if I like the tailgate method, like leaving it on. We didn't before, remember that?
Yeah, we laid it down in the back.
Kind of seemed a little bit easier. We can adjust it. I won't close any of this up. So guys, when you're doing this, just know to take your time a little bit. All right, so we have to do a little bit of assembly here for the actual tire carrier portion. Now, it's pretty neat here. I was just telling Ryan, they include these two pieces. Now, this piece right here is the adapter for the 2020 and newer JL cameras where they had a little bit of a change. If you don't have that, you'll be able to just have all these brackets already installed and just screw them in. And then this is the outer housing bezel, so you'll put this on afterwards. But what you're gonna do is set this with the camera like so. So with this bottom piece where the connector will go like that. So it'll go down. So this will be at the bottom of this, meaning that you're gonna wanna put this on right like so. So bottom hole, this will be towards the bottom. Okay, once you have that on, you can put your little camera bezel adapter and same little tiny screws. There's 5 of them. Just get those started. Most of it by hand. And there are torque specs. 8 inch-pounds, but we don't have a torque. We don't have any sort of torque wrench that goes down that low, so this is gonna have to do. You're gonna wanna bolt this on here so you're not fighting everything. So we're gonna get this installed using our factory bolts from our Extreme Recon bracket, and then we're gonna torque these to 25 pound-feet with a 13mm socket. This is kind of your base plate for everything, and it bolts on through. So we still don't have everything tightened up, so we still need to adjust the carrier and get that all dialed in. But we're kind of putting this on right now, and then we're gonna get like the tire put onto it and see how much the tailgate needs adjusted. All right, now it is time to mount the actual carrier portion. So we're gonna slide this just into place like so and let it rest up top. For the 12-point bolts here that they include, as well as these 2 plates, and then they actually come up, you put them both under here like this, and they're gonna come up underneath, and we're just gonna get them started. So we're just gonna snug these up right like so, and then I'll show you guys. There's a bolt that goes down through here, and it's got an offset plate depending on where you actually mount it, so it'll give you a little bit more, or you can tuck it in further. But I think we're probably gonna need all the offset we can get with as big of wheel and tire I went with. What we're gonna do here is install the studs and use a little bit of the blue Loctite that's included. The more fine threads are gonna go towards the inside there, and we're gonna use mounting location number 3, because this is the highest one. It says it's gonna be close with this bumper. So we'll have to see. Get them torqued down to 150 foot-pounds, and then we're gonna mock our tire up. Ryan, you're gonna have to help me pick that thing up. 3. Up a little higher. It's hitting the bumper, yeah. So the 40 isn't really fitting on this tire carrier with the stock steel bumper. It said it on the website, and I just kind of didn't listen and was like, it'll fit, but it doesn't. It doesn't clear the bumper. So what we're gonna do is try and use our factory Extreme Recon, and I'm gonna put some punches above the factory holes here to get this to slot down just a little bit. It's like just about there. So I'm gonna get this to try and slot down a little bit and see if we can make the bracket work. We're using a stock steel bumper right now. If you have an aftermarket bumper, or I think a plastic one will work, you're fine. You're fine. You're not gonna need to do this. But with mine, it's causing some issues. So if this doesn't work, we're gonna pause the video, and then we're just gonna do a delete in the back and keep that reinforcement until we go to an aftermarket rear bumper. So after some homebrew modifications, 1, let's get under the lugs. 1, 2, 3. Ugh. All right guys, so I'm gonna be honest with you, we had to do a lot off camera to make this work. I actually had to modify the factory Extreme Recon brackets here so they would slot, go in the middle here, and then also be able to bolt down, and they're still not all the way tightened here. I gotta clamp these down. I'm gonna try and slot the tire in about 3 more inches so I can get it as close as possible. Yeah, I don't know. It's not meant for a 40-inch tire, so we might have to figure out a different solution. It's definitely sturdy enough, but I got to get everything kind of buttoned up, and we did have to modify it a little bit too. We had to use some of our stock brackets in here to get it to work. So we bolted our factory third brake light onto the included bracket. We're just gonna plug that in, and then it's almost like a bicycle clamp, and it just tucks right into there. Okay, so we kind of got it a little bit buttoned up here, and I was giving it a little bit more room on the outside to see how close I could get it back towards the carrier. I want to try and get these lugs of the inside kind of tread to touch this actual bracket, so I want it as close in as I can. That'll reduce the weight and the strain on the rear tailgate here. I want to dial it in a little bit more. Honestly, the little tape method didn't work for us, so I want to dial it in, button up the interior here, and then we'll finish it up. So the only thing I have to do in the interior is really just cover those holes that we cut back up. TerraFlex makes a nice little patch that actually covers that up too. Throw our Alpine subunit back in, and then just really get everything snugged up, and we're good to go. On today's viewer rig of the video, we're checking out Nate's 2021 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Sport with the 2.0 turbo. He said he just hit 25,000 miles. And while it doesn't look like it's lifted or has a ton of like crazy suspension mods, he's definitely got a lot of color match pieces and really made it his own. I can kind of see all over here. Looks like some color matched handles. He's got a nice set of side steps and what looks to be a set of BF Goodrich KM3s on there. He's got like the, I don't know what those are, like the snake eyes in the front, but a lot of bolt-ons on here. And some of these I haven't seen before, so a lot of these viewer rigs we love to show you guys just so you can get some ideas. Nate, thank you for submitting your rig, and if you guys want to have a chance at your rig being featured, be sure to hit us up through Instagram or send us an email. Well guys, after a little bit of finessing and Ryan and I actually picking up this wheel and tire by using the dream team to pick it up because this thing is heavy, we were able to mount the 40-inch onto the TerraFlex tire carrier, get our third brake light up here, and our camera all mounted up. Now, I will say that this tire the carrier feels extremely durable. It feels like it's gonna easily be able to hold the 40. However, the only thing I was a little disappointed is I have to change my bumpers out. Now, I'll say disappointed, but it gives me another excuse to buy some more parts. So this is gonna work for now. Honestly, it's very sturdy, very strong, and it's gonna hold my tire no problem. But in the future, we're gonna upgrade our bumpers, rip everything apart, and probably lower this this down a little bit. This is a heavy setup, so you really want to make sure that the Jeep can hold it. And I know everyone is asking, how do you plan on holding the 40 on the back? This is our plan for now, to hold it onto the back here. I think for maybe wheeling trips, I might pull this off just for wheeling trips, because I feel like we're gonna get hung up right back here on the back, and that's not gonna be fun. But we're excited to have this on here. And honestly, it just gives us a reason to put a 40 on the back and make this Jeep even bigger. So stay tuned. We're gonna continue to build this Jeep. I know a lot of people had questions about it, what we're doing with suspension, what we're doing else with the fender flares. We're gonna still be doing this Jeep, but Ryan's got a lot of parts coming in for his. So I think we may take a pause from spending money and putting things into this Jeep and work back on the two-door. Until next time though, my name is Matt with Dirt Road CRED. That's Ryan behind the camera, and we want you to get out there and earn yours. That was pretty good.